I want to talk to you about the bombing, my friend.
Yes.
And some things that you recently said. You know I like you, right? Okay, so you recently accused Senator...
You don't talk to a person you like that. You don't say it like that, but sure.
Senator Mark Kelly, a veteran, an astronaut, of crossing the line for participating in a video reminding troops that they can refuse to follow illegal orders.
Okay.
Let's see some of what you said, my friend.
Sure.
You know better, Senator Kelly. You know better. How dare you do that? You could go to the House. You can draw up paperwork. You can try to start articles of impeachment if you think there's something illegal. I mean, damn, it ain't like y'all haven't done it before. You impeached the man twice. Where'd that get you? Got us behind back in the White House. Had you left him alone since 2020, maybe he wouldn't be back. You don't tell military men and women to ignore an order from the commander-in-chief. You don't do that.
Caffeine's a bitch, you know?
But nothing he said was wrong. You know what's crazy? I have a unique perspective on this because I served in the armed forces for 11 years. And this is something that's always been ingrained into everything that we do. You can refuse illegal orders. There was no reason for these senators and all these people to get together to make a video to remind us of something that we already know and we're reminded of every day. Now, the real reason they actually did that video, and let's be honest, it wasn't to remind us that we can refuse illegal orders because we know that. But it was to signal and tell us that the president is currently exercising illegal orders on the troops and that they must refuse. But they don't go ahead and name those illegal orders that they're talking about, right? They're just saying illegal orders, basically making you think, well, the president is handing out illegal orders. There's broader implications to that. And then what can really happen is basically what they're telling you is that if you keep following the orders that the president is giving right now, and a Democrat gets back into office in the next 4 years, God forbid, I hope, J.D. Vance becomes the nominee and wins the presidency. But let's just say a Democrat becomes president. What are they going to start doing? They're going to start prosecuting members of the military for following, quote unquote, what they deemed were illegal orders by the former president. And this sets a dangerous precedent. The Democrats love to talk about the norms and breaking the norms, and they love to blame Trump for basically, upending the system. But they're the ones who are constantly pushing to do insane things. They're the type of people who will punch you in the face, and then once you punch back, they say, well, why did you punch me? How dare you punch me? Well, you punched me first. You push and push and push and push and push until you can't push anymore. And when you get the backlash, you say, well, we were just reminding people that they can refuse illegal orders. No, there was other implications to your message. And then you pretend that the general populace, not pretend, you assume, which rightfully so, that the general populace is dumb and that they're not going to understand exactly what you were trying to do. But let's continue to listen to what Sunny Hostin has to say here.
Now, let me just remind you that Pete Hegseth said in 2016, I do think there have to be consequences for abject war crimes. If you're doing something that is just completely unlawful and ruthless, then there is a consequence for that. That's why the military said it won't follow unlawful orders from their commander-in-chief. Okay. Now, given the fact that the secretary himself said that,
They're clapping for Pete Hegseth, somebody they hate. But because he said something in 2016 that they like, they clap like seals. And these are the uneducated viewership of The View. These are the people that these senators that got together to make that video were hoping would catch the message they were trying to throw. this is all it is. But let's continue.
I'd love to give you the opportunity to perhaps change your position on what you said.
I'm not changing a thing.
Okay.
I didn't stutter when I said it.
You want to stay loud and wrong?
Well, you could call it loud and wrong all you want to. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. Here's the reality of the situation. First of all, I don't give a damn what Pete Hegseth has to say because I will tell you right now, he was never qualified for the job. When you talk about DEI and eradicating that, excuse me, what was he doing hosting Fox News on the weekend and all of a sudden he's the defense secretary?
He's the defense secretary because he served in the military. What was Lloyd Austin's qualifications to be in that position when Biden was president? Let's just go there. What were Lloyd Austin's accolades that made him fit for the job? It's funny how they just mentioned that Pete Hegseth was hosting a show on Fox, but they don't mention the fact that he was actually in the service. He was in the service. He served. So I don't understand where this argument comes from.
Please give me a break. I don't care what he has to say. Let me get that out the way. As it pertains to Mark Kelly, what I was talking about is military. What I did was get on the phone with family and friends who have served in the military. And I said, we're not civilians. This is not the court of law. You can be implicated for implying something if you are a former military member or you are a present military member. It wasn't what Mark Kelly said. It's the fact that he was a combat Navy pilot who served in the military who would tell folks, ignore an order when it could get
Ignore
them
an
an
illegal
order.
He did not say
I said
ignore.
illegal.
What he
I said illegal. I'm talking about illegal. I understand that.
He said you don't have to follow an unlawful order, and that is in the military code of conduct.
And I'm saying to you,
She doesn't even know what it's called. In the military code of conduct, we don't have a code of conduct. We have the Uniform Military Code of Justice. Uniform Code of Military Justice. Damn, I actually had to think about that. We don't have a code of conduct. We have a Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ. And yes, she is correct. It is in the UCMJ. And we know that. So there was no need to remind us. And again, they're just basing this on the fact that there was a Washington Post story that has been debunked by the New York Times, of all newspapers, that said that Pete was giving an order to kill two drug pushers that were in the sea after a boat was struck, and there were two survivors, and supposedly Pete said, kill them all, and they launched a second strike. But the same general that launched that strike testified in Congress and said that Pete was never there and Pete never gave that order. So this was a lie. And again, they have to, besides the Pete order, what supposed order, because we don't even have the truth, the truth is most likely that he was never there, he never gave the order, as the general said and the New York Times has reported. But what are the illegal orders that Trump is giving? You have to name them. You can't just say you can refuse illegal orders. Well, what illegal orders are you telling the military service members to ignore or refuse to follow?
Hold on. Which I'm aware of.
But it didn't sound like you were aware of that.
Well, no. I disagree with you.
Stephen, can I ask you a question?
I had two governors, by the way, text me to tell me I was wrong, and they agree with you.
You are wrong.
And I had two senators that reached out to me and said, you aren't wrong at all.
Well, Mikey Sherrill did say that the reason they felt the need to put that out is they were constantly being approached by people in the military saying, we're being put in really uncomfortable situations.
But
that to me is a little more relatable when you're a veteran yourself.
But I'm saying let me say this real quick.
You got to do real quick. Or wait till we come back.
All I'm saying is this. If you're a member of the military, I'm looking at the soldiers as saying, don't get yourself in trouble. Let somebody else do it. Don't you do it because it ain't going to work for you.
But you get
Sorry, that was Alyssa Slotkin.
Listen, all I'm saying is these people don't know what they're talking about. This whole panel is full of dumb people who make millions of dollars to give the dumb masses their opinions. I don't necessarily agree with Stephen A. Smith on some of his characterizations about the things that he says, but I have always respected him for being a level-headed individual. He looks at things the way you should view them, from a neutral kind of lens, even though we know he's a Democrat. He votes for Democrats, and he will always kind of nudge that way. But he is smart enough to recognize the reason why Democrats are in the situation that they're in at this current moment. It's because they turned the dial up to 1,000, and they say the most ridiculous things, and then it comes out that whatever it is that they said or were trying to push for was all a lie, and then people aren't buying it anymore. It's the reason why the Democratic Party is so unpopular. Now, it's looking like they may retain or regain control of the House in 2026 due to the recent polling that's coming out now, because Trump is fairly unpopular right now with a lot of things, mainly the economy. But a lot of their lies are just that. They're lies. And somebody like Sunny Hostin, who doesn't even know the terminology, UCMJ, she calls it the military conduct, shouldn't even be speaking on this issue and telling somebody that they're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about, Sunny. It seems like Stephen A. at least has a little more knowledge than you do about the actual situation. But I'm going to wrap it up there. That's all I got for this video, guys. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends. And if you like what I do here and you want to support my work, I have links in the description box below. You can buy me a coffee or send me a Cash App. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.